an offer. Now when you make an offer, we as an agent will say to you, we ask you to fill in a pro forma. That pro forma has your name, your full name, your address, the offer you're making, the amount of the deposit you're paying, and your terms, as Tanya covered, your building and pest and your finance. There's also pool inspections which are happening with properties at the moment. This is a huge issue. We are now telling our sellers, get your pool compliance certificate as soon as it goes on the market. That's a whole different area, but if you want details on it, we can put you in touch with someone that can help you with that. The responsibility is on the owner to get that pool certification within 90 days of the contract being signed. We've actually got a seller on the market at the moment who has arranged his pool compliance certificate, and we now have that to show buyers when they go through a property. So you get your contract, you get your details of your building and pest, your pool and your finance. Normally we tell all our buyers, even if you cash, it's subject to finance, just in case something happens. If we will say to our seller, they have got cash, but they just want this as a precaution. And generally we say 14 days. 14, so it used to be up to 21 days around 6 to 12 months ago because of the first homeowners scheme, and financiers were struggling to get them approved within that time frame. At the moment, you should be able to get your finance through within 14 days. And if people want more, we generally ask them why. When we submit a contract to our seller, we want to know within as much information as we can. We often ring a broker and we'll say to that broker, can you confirm that Mr. and Mrs. Smith have put in an offer on this property? Is it within their lending area? We need to know that because we are representing the seller. They pay our fee, the buyer doesn't. We need to know if we tell the seller to take this property off the market, when it goes to contract, that this is a genuine offer and it's not going to fall over on finance. The building and pest, we follow up on that, as Tanya touched on the 5-day cooling off period. We tell all our sellers, once you've got that under contract, you've got your insurance under cover, make sure you start organising your building and pest. Generally they can be done within 2 or 3 days. So anyone that wants more than 7 to 10 days for a building and pest, we want to know why. Prior to Christmas is sometimes a busy time because a lot of the inspectors go on leave. But generally speaking, 7 to 10 days is ample time to organise a building and pest. It takes 2 hours. It'll cost you around $400, and the pool inspection will be on top of that. You will get a 35-page report, and you will freak because every single item of that house, tiles in the bathroom might have a little crack in them, there may be something in the roof. All of this is to justify and protect the building and pest inspector. He's paid $400 plus for that report that takes about 2 hours. So when you get it, have a look at it. When we do building and pest inspections, we will go with the building and pest inspector. We ask the sellers or the buyers to come towards the end of the inspection because 2 hours is a long time to be walking up and down the stairs near the roof cavities. So we suggest to them, come towards the last half hour, and the building and pest will give them a synopsis and then send them the report. If there is an issue, we representing the seller will say, is that normal wear and tear for a house of this age? If it's a brand new home, there should be very few issues. If it's a 40-year-old home, there will be some wear and tear, which is normal for that aged home. So you need to be aware of that, what the home is, and also what's in the building and pest report. If it's made subject to the sale of the current home, that needs to be included in your offer. We will also, as agents, ask, if it is subject to the sale of the home, we will ask you a couple of questions. One is that property currently on the market? If it's on the market, I'm sorry, excuse me. If it is on the market, we'll ask you for how long and if you've had any offers. You'll say yes or no. If you say yes, we are currently negotiating a contract, we will then say, may we see a copy of that offer? The reason for that is we need, as I said before, we need to know if we're presenting an offer to our seller that it is a genuine offer, because because that property basically they can't enter into another contract until that offer has gone through due course. Generally speaking, if it is subject to the sale of the property, we always put in a sunset clause. Now, when I first heard that term, I was thinking about the sun going down. It's not quite that. What it means is that we will put in a clause under the special conditions. It basically states that that contract is subject to an offer on a property that the purchaser owns going to contract within a period of time. If it is under contract, then we'll be saying settlement on that within a period of time. If that doesn't happen, we will ask them to give the buyer of the new property, which is the one that we're representing, 3 days notice that they can either make their contract unconditional or withdraw from that offer because they've had a better offer come through. In our office, and I think most real estate agents will continue to show a property to buyers even if it is under contract. So if you go to a property and they say, look, it is under offer, don't be angry. The reason they're doing it is to protect the seller. If the contract falls through, they need to know that there are backup buyers there. If a property's been on the market too long, buyers generally think there's something wrong with it. They don't think, oh, it's been under contract and the buyers can get finance. So that's why we continue to do it. Now, you're offering your acceptance. I don't want to go over any issues that Tanya's covered.
Just quickly, you're talking about building inspection and pests and stuff like that. Sustainability declarations.
We have them in our files at every open. The government has got at the top of the sustainability declaration. If you don't know the answer, leave blank. Quite often it's a vendor who lives interstate who's got no idea how many light bulbs are light efficient for.
My question was how useful you actually think they are.
I've got no idea, and they don't go anywhere. We keep them in our file. So nobody's recording that information. Maybe down the track they will. I think it's for the benefit, if it does have water tanks, and if it does have fuel efficient lights, and it doesn't have any conditioning, it's got a pool cover, and it's got shade on the western walls, then those are going to save you down the track with energy efficiency. But the other issue could be too that the federal and state governments are attempting to keep older people in their homes as long as possible. It's a cheaper alternative. If you've got wide corridors and wide doorways and someone's on a wheelie walker frame or in a wheelchair, they can live at home quite safely. I think that's where it's leading to, but I honestly don't know where the information goes. So you're right. And quite often after it's gone to settlement, solicitors we've noticed sometimes send notes to their buyers, did you check the sustainability declaration? And buyers will say, it's settling this week and we haven't seen the sustainability. And we say, yes, it was there, we can give you a copy. It's a great
I guess what I'm saying is should everybody check this?
Yeah, it should. Well, it should be, but it's there. It's always there at the, it's like when you get the brochure on the property. We have them sitting next to the brochures. But yes, if that's an important factor to you, by all means. Now, Tanya touched on this. The unconditional, it's subject to a building and pest, and it's subject to the finance. Your building and pest will normally be done. That should be done within 7 to 10 days. You need to notify our office that that's been accepted, that that's fine, because we will follow up with you on the same with the finance. Prior to recent, I think it was about December, they changed the regulations. You could actually, if you didn't notify a building and pest, it was presumed that everything was okay. With finance, you always had to notify us that finance was approved. Now you must notify them both, and if you don't notify a building and pest, the seller can withdraw from the contract. If there are issues with the building and pest, you've got 3 options. Walk away, you're not interested in it, negotiate a price reduction, or negotiate for them to undertake the repairs. You then organise to finalise your finance, which Tanya touched on. The contract's unconditional, and then you need to conduct your pre-settlement inspection. We will go with you for that. Again, all the furniture and everything should be out of the house or the unit or whatever. Just check there aren't holes in the walls, there's not carpet missing. Generally speaking, we would have checked that before you anyway, but you must go and do it. we have the keys at our office, and we need to get a fax from the solicitors for the seller and the buyer to say that settlement has taken place. Until we've got both faxes, we can't release the keys. We will have the keys. Now, there are a few things that you need to be aware of. Quite often, settlements take place on a Friday. With the changes that we've had, and there are different utility managers, you need to find out when that finally reported or reading is done on the meter for the electricity or the gas. Sometimes the amenities people are disconnecting it. So if your settlement takes place late Friday afternoon and you intend moving over the weekend, just make sure that you've got electricity and gas, because you're moving into a house that's got nothing and they won't come out on the weekend. So once it's read, speak to the owners, find out who their amenities are with, and then make sure that you've got a continuum. They'll prorata who was living wherever for what time, and there'll be a disbursement done at settlement. And then from that, arrange a removalist. That's another cost unless you've got family or friends that will do it. And forge mail. There is another issue which I'll come up to. If you're selling your current home, as I said before, this is a buyer's market. Don't ever be afraid to sell now. There are more properties on the market than there are buyers. And you might be homeless, rent something, maybe go to Homestead or something for a short period of time. Don't be afraid of not having a home to live. Generally speaking, if you do sell a property, you might make it subject to settlement in 30 days, 60 days. In that period of time, you'll find something. And the reason for that is if you've got cash, you're in a far better negotiating position than if you're borrowing. And you will find that what you might be spending on rental, you're actually saving in the purchase price of the next property you're buying. Offers can be made subject to sale of the property. I've already gone through that. You need to provide details of the property to be sold. It's best to have one agent handle both properties. If you're selling a property, it's a good idea to see if you're buying a property, get that agent to sell your property, and then can link up the two settlements for you. Or if there's an issue on one or the extension on the other, they can give a heads up to the solicitors for the other property that might be happening. Your changeover cost, which I went through before. You do pay stamp duty when you purchase, you don't pay stamp duty when you sell. You will have legal fees on both transactions, and your agent's commission is only when you have a sale. Now, there are other ways of buying a property, and I'll just spin through those. If you're going to buy at an auction, go to some auctions beforehand. See what the process is.